The fastest way to lose a woman's respect isn't by being broke, unattractive, or inexperienced. It's by letting her disrespect you and doing nothing about it. Every man will face this moment. Maybe she cuts you off mid-sentence, throws a sly insult, challenges you in public, or even mocks you behind a smile. Whatever form it takes, disrespect is never just random, it's a test. And how you respond determines whether she sees you as a man worth respecting or someone she can walk all over. Welcome back to the channel, fellas. This space is about breaking down the real power dynamics between men and women, the ones most people are too scared to talk about. Because let's be clear, disrespect is not harmless. It's the seed of every broken relationship. And if you ignore it or try to laugh it off, you're teaching her that your boundaries don't exist. Now here's the part that most won't admit. Women actually want you to check them when they step out of line. Not through anger or shouting, but through calm, unshakable authority. If you don't, she won't feel safe with you. She won't admire you. She'll keep pushing until the relationship collapses under her lack of respect. This video is about arming you with the words, mindset, and presence to handle those moments like a man. Not by reacting emotionally, but by responding in a way that immediately reestablishes your frame. If you don't master this, you'll spend every interaction chasing her validation instead of commanding her respect. So listen carefully, because what I'm about to share may make some people uncomfortable, but it's the truth every man needs to hear. 1. Respect is not negotiable. When a woman disrespects you, the first mistake most men make is treating it like something they can bargain with. They think if they're patient, agreeable, or forgiving enough, she'll come around and treat them better. But that mindset kills attraction instantly. Respect is not something you negotiate for. It's not something you wait to earn. It's the foundation of how she sees you. And the second you allow her to cross that line without addressing it, you've lost control of the relationship. Every woman tests a man, even the most loyal ones. Sometimes it's subtle, sarcasm, dismissive body language, rolling her eyes when you speak. Other times it's direct, mocking you, insulting you, or outright ignoring you in front of others. The test itself isn't the problem is your response. If you pretend you didn't notice, or worse, laugh along with her, you're teaching her that disrespect is acceptable. And once she learns that, the cycle never stops. Respect, to a woman, is the real measure of a man's value. She doesn't care about how much you sacrifice for her, how much you love her, or how hard you work, if you can't even command her respect in the moments that matter most. And here's the controversial part. A woman can love you without respecting you, but she cannot respect you without also being attracted to you. That's why so many men feel stuck in relationships where they're doing everything right, but still being treated like they don't matter. When you draw the line and make it clear through your tone, your words, and your actions that you don't tolerate disrespect, something shifts. She might act upset in the moment, but deep down she's relieved. Because women don't want to be in control of the relationship. They want to feel a man's strength, his backbone, his refusal to bend just to please her. That's where true security comes from. So understand this. Respect is not a luxury. It's not optional. It's the price of admission if she wants to be in your life. Once you accept that mindset, every interaction changes. You stop begging for her approval, and she starts realizing your presence is something she doesn't want to lose. 2. Silence hurts you more than her. One of the most common mistakes men make when a woman disrespects them is going silent. They think pulling away, giving her the cold shoulder, or teaching her a lesson by ignoring her will somehow make her realize her mistake. On the surface, it feels like power, but in reality, silence often does more damage to you than it does to her. Here's why. Silence without clarity is weak. It looks like avoidance. It looks like you didn't know what to say in the moment, so you shut down and hope the problem would solve itself. But it never does. In fact, when you choose silence in the face of disrespect, she doesn't sit there thinking, wow, he's really mature. Instead, she thinks, I can walk all over him and he won't call me out. That's not strength, that's passive submission disguised as self-control. Men confuse silence with composure. True composure is being calm under pressure while still addressing the issue head-on. Weak silence is when you bite your tongue out of fear. Fear of conflict, fear of losing her, fear of saying the wrong thing. And here's the harsh reality. A man who is scared to speak up when he's disrespected will always lose respect in her eyes, no matter how much else he provides. Think of it this way. If your boss disrespects you and you just sit there quietly, you're telling him it's okay to treat you that way. If a stranger disrespects you and you laugh it off nervously, you've given that stranger power over you. With women, it's no different. Your silence teaches her something about your character, and it's not what you think. The strongest men don't stay silent. They respond without losing their cool. They don't yell. They don't insult back. They don't give long speeches about how they deserve better. They use a firm tone, a few sharp words, and they make it clear that disrespect is unacceptable. That's the difference between silence that weakens you and calm authority that strengthens you. Men need to understand. Women don't stop testing you. But each test is a chance to reinforce your frame. When you stay silent out of fear, you fail that test. When you speak up with confidence, you pass. And every time you pass, her respect for you deepens. So stop convincing yourself that ignoring the problem makes you strong. It doesn't. It only builds resentment inside you while teaching her she can push further. Use your voice, set the boundary, make it clear, because silence doesn't protect you, it destroys you. The power of calm confrontation. When a woman disrespects you, your first instinct might be to snap, raise your voice, or shut down completely. That's the trap most men fall into. They either explode with anger and look insecure, or they avoid confrontation altogether and look weak. Both responses destroy respect. What most men don't realize is that the real power lies in calm confrontation, the ability to face the disrespect head-on without losing control of yourself. Calm confrontation is not about trying to dominate her with aggression. It's about showing that you're unshaken by her behavior, but you're also not going to tolerate it. This balance is what separates boys from men. A boy reacts emotionally because he feels threatened. A man addresses the situation firmly because he knows his value doesn't depend on her approval. Imagine this scenario. She makes a disrespectful comment in front of her friends. Most guys either laugh it off awkwardly or try to clap back with something even harsher, which only creates a messy back and forth. A man with presence, on the other hand, waits until the moment is right, looks her in the eye, and calmly says something like, "Don't talk to me like that again." That's it. No yelling, no long explanation, just clarity. And you know what happens? The room goes quiet. She realizes you're serious, and her respect for you grows instantly, even if she doesn't admit it in the moment. This is the key. Calm confrontation keeps the focus on your boundary, not on your emotions. When you lose your cool, the message gets lost in the drama. When you stay calm, the message lands with undeniable weight. Women may act like they want a man who just understands them no matter what, but the truth is, they admire men who can confront them without fear. The reason this works is because calmness signals strength. Anyone can raise their voice, anyone can storm out, but holding your frame under pressure shows her you're in control of yourself and the situation. That's real masculinity. Men who avoid confrontation often think they're keeping the peace, but they're really creating long-term chaos. Every time you let disrespect slide, resentment builds inside you and her behavior escalates. By confronting it early and calmly, you set the tone. You show her exactly how you expect to be treated. So understand this, confrontation doesn't mean conflict. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to end in an argument. Calm confrontation is simply about letting her know, without hesitation, that there are lines she cannot cross with you. And once you do that consistently, you won't have to repeat yourself. She'll know deep down that you're a man who demands respect without ever having to raise his voice. 4. Why boundaries turn women. Most men think boundaries push women away. They believe that saying no, setting limits, or calling out bad behavior will make her lose interest. But in reality, the opposite is true. Women are drawn to men who know where the line is and who aren't afraid to enforce it. Boundaries don't kill attraction, they fuel it, because deep down, a woman wants to know the man she's with cannot be controlled, manipulated, or walked over. Think about relationships you've seen around you. Maybe you've noticed a guy who lets his girlfriend talk to him however she wants. She criticizes him in front of friends, takes little shots at him, and he just laughs it off like it's no big deal. Over time, she loses interest. She starts treating him like one of her girlfriends instead of her man. And eventually, she either leaves him or cheats, because she can't respect him anymore. His lack of boundaries killed the attraction. Now picture another scenario. A man is with his girlfriend at a dinner party. She makes a snide remark about his job in front of everyone. Most guys would smile awkwardly or stay silent to avoid making a scene. But this man waits until the noise dies down, looks her in the eye, and calmly says, "That's not how you talk about me." He doesn't shout, he doesn't embarrass her, but his tone makes it clear. He won't tolerate disrespect. That moment, instead of pushing her away, makes her see him differently. She may get defensive at first, but later she'll think about it, and her attraction deepens because she knows she can't control him. Even in celebrity relationships, you see this dynamic. Look at couples where the man bends over backward for approval. Those relationships usually end badly. But when a man holds his frame, even high-status women fall in line. Why? Because boundaries signal strength, and strength is irresistible. Here's the truth. Women don't fantasize about men who let them do whatever they want. They fantasize about men who set the rules of engagement, who know their worth, and who don't allow disrespect. That doesn't mean being controlling. Boundaries are not about restricting her freedom. They're about defining your standards. And when you enforce them, she feels more secure, not less. Boundaries are attractive because they separate the men she can play with from the men she has to respect. The man with no boundaries is forgettable. The man with strong boundaries is unforgettable. And when you make it clear that respect is the price of admission, you stop chasing her approval and start commanding her attraction. 5. Stop explaining, start leading. One of the biggest mistakes men make when a woman disrespects them is falling into the trap of explaining themselves. She says something out of line, and instead of addressing it directly, he goes into long speeches about how he feels, why he deserves respect, or how hard he tries for her. The problem is, over-explaining never earns respect. In fact, the more you explain, the weaker you look. Why? Because explanation is rooted in seeking approval. When you try to justify yourself, you're signaling that her validation matters more than your standard. Instead of showing her you're in control, you're asking her to understand and agree with you. That's not leadership, it's negotiation. And once you start negotiating respect, you've already lost it. For example, imagine this. She mocks you in front of friends. A weak response would be, "Why would you say that? I've been working so hard lately, you know how stressed I am. I don't deserve that." In his mind, he's showing vulnerability, but in her mind, he's begging for her sympathy instead of demanding her respect. She tunes him out. Now here's the right way. When she crosses the line, keep it short, firm, and clear. You don't owe her a speech. You don't owe her an explanation. A calm statement like, "Don't speak to me like that," says everything it needs to. If she pushes back, don't argue. Don't repeat yourself 100 times. Simply reinforce your frame. If you want to talk, talk respectfully. Otherwise, I'm not engaging. That's it. End of discussion. This approach works because it flips the script. Instead of trying to make her understand your feelings, you're setting the standard for how the conversation continues. You've made it clear, respect is non-negotiable. And if she can't give it, the interaction stops there. That's leadership. Here's another mistake men make. They try to win the argument with logic. They'll explain how disrespect is wrong, bring up examples, and argue like they're in a courtroom. But women don't respond to endless logic in heated moments. They respond to presence and authority. When you stop explaining and instead lead the interaction, you communicate strength in a way words alone never could. Leadership in this context doesn't mean controlling her. It means controlling yourself, setting the tone, and guiding the direction of the exchange. It means not letting disrespect slide, but also not losing your cool in trying to correct it. So the lesson here is simple. Explanations weaken you. Leadership strengthens you. Don't waste your breath trying to justify why you deserve respect. Show her with your tone, your confidence, and your boundaries that respect is the only option. When you stop explaining and start leading, she'll stop testing and start following. 6. Disrespect exposes her true feelings. Here's something most men don't realize. When a woman disrespects you, she's showing you how she truly feels about you in that moment. Disrespect is never random. It's a reflection of her level of attraction, her level of respect, and her perception of your strength as a man. And if you're smart, you'll stop seeing it as just an insult and start seeing it for what it really is. A mirror into her feelings. Think about it. A woman who's deeply attracted to you won't casually throw disrespect your way. She might tease you, she might challenge you playfully, but she won't try to undermine you. Why? Because she doesn't want to risk losing you. But when a woman begins to show disrespect, mocking you, belittling you, ignoring you, it's a sign her respect for you has already slipped. And without respect, attraction dies quickly. This is why so many men are blindsided when their girlfriend suddenly loses interest or walks away. The signs were there all along in her words and actions, but they ignored them. That sarcastic remark about your ambition, that dismissive tone when you try to lead, that eye roll when you set a boundary. Each one was her way of showing you how she really felt. But instead of addressing it, you laughed it off, stayed quiet, or explained yourself to death. By the time you realized what was happening, it was too late. Here's the controversial truth. Disrespect is a gift if you know how to handle it, because it tells you everything you need to know about where you stand. It's better to face a woman's real feelings through her disrespect than to live in a fantasy where you think everything is fine while she quietly loses attraction. The disrespect forces you to act. It forces you to decide whether you're going to tolerate it, confront it, or walk away. A real man doesn't fear disrespect. He uses it as information. If it happens once, he addresses it and sets the boundary. If it happens repeatedly, he understands that her feelings for him aren't strong enough to justify staying. Either way, he doesn't ignore it. Because ignoring disrespect is ignoring the truth. And here's the powerful part. When you handle disrespect correctly, you often flip the script. Instead of her losing attraction, she regains it. Instead of pushing you further, she pulls back and reconsiders her behavior. Why? Because you've reminded her that you're a man she can't walk over. And that reawakens the very feelings that drew her to you in the first place. So remember this. Disrespect is not just an insult. It's a message. And if you learn how to read it, you'll never be confused about a woman's true feelings again. 7. Walk away and watch her chase. There comes a point where words are no longer enough. You can set boundaries, you can confront disrespect calmly, and you can make it clear where you stand. But if she continues to cross the line, the most powerful thing you can do is walk away. And not in a dramatic emotional exit, not slamming doors or shouting ultimatums, simply removing yourself from the situation with complete composure. That single act can shift the entire dynamic. Walking away communicates something no speech ever could. You don't need her validation to stand strong. Too many men stay trapped in endless arguments, thinking if they just explain themselves one more time, she'll understand. But the more you engage with a disrespectful woman, the more you reinforce her behavior. She learns that she can pull you into her storm whenever she wants. Walking away ends the game. It tells her, I won't compete for respect. Either you give it, or I'm gone. Here's the interesting part. Women are far more affected by your absence than your words. You can talk for hours about how much you deserve respect, but the moment you go silent and remove your presence, she feels the loss. Suddenly, the man she thought she could control is no longer available, and that absence forces her to reflect. That's when the chase begins. Think about real-life examples. How many times have you heard of a man who constantly argued with his girlfriend, only for her to tune him out and keep disrespecting him? But when he finally stopped responding and pulled away, she panicked. She started texting more, calling more, suddenly wanting to talk. That's not coincidence. That's the psychology of respect. When a woman realizes she can lose you, her behavior shifts. The key is in how you walk away. It has to be calm, not emotional. If you storm out, you look unstable. If you beg her to notice your silence, you've missed the point. The power comes from walking away without a single ounce of insecurity, because your respect for yourself is greater than your fear of losing her. That's what makes her chase. And even if she doesn't chase, you've still won. Because walking away also protects your dignity. It keeps you from wasting energy on someone who refuses to value you. It puts you back in control of your time, your emotions, and your peace of mind. Either way, you win. So understand this. Walking away isn't weakness. It's the ultimate display of strength. It's telling her through action that you live by your standards, not her moods. And 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what makes her run back. Because deep down, she respects the man who refuses to stay where he's not valued. At the end of the day, how you handle disrespect defines the entire relationship. Ignore it and you lose yourself. Explode and you lose control. But confront it with calm authority, set clear boundaries, and if necessary, walk away, and you gain respect, attraction, and peace of mind. Women test men not to destroy them, but to see if they're strong enough to lead. Remember, respect is non-negotiable. The man who values himself above all else never has to beg for loyalty, attention, or love. He commands it because his presence alone sets the standard.